Boom. Hey, everybody, this is Teddy Burriss, your LinkedIn strategist, trainer, coach, all about teaching people LinkedIn as a business tool. And you're on the Lunch Conversations with Randy and Teddy show. And to my left and to my right, whichever way you're looking at, is my good buddy, Mr. Randy Wooden, and my co-host, partner in crime. What's the word? What's two entrepreneurs pulling something together? What's that called, Randy? My team.
Winging it.
Power partners.
Power partner. Yeah, there you go. So thanks for joining us today. I'm going to introduce my good friend, Dr. Lexi Lain, in a minute, but I'll let Randy introduce himself first.
Hey, I hope everybody's had a good start to the new year. And if you're in the job search at this point in the new year, you want to make sure you pay attention to today's show with Dr. Lexi Lain, because she's going to share some thoughts and tips on how you can improve that search beyond just the whole resume stuff. So, but back to the resume, back to the interviewing, and back to a lot of that. I run our professional center here in Winston-Salem for Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina. So we're free. We're happy to help. You can find me on LinkedIn. We do LinkedIn workshops. But I'll tell you, one of the highlights of the week is when I get to hang out with my friend Teddy Burriss. Yeah. Teddy Burriss. Yep. And, it's a nice, talk about hump day and the chance to kind of see, from one side to the other. I don't really look at my job like that. I love what I do, but this is a special time because I feel like it's a free lunch and learn, and I get to ask the questions and have fun and hang out with smart people, way smarter than I am. So let me throw it back to you, Teddy.
Yeah. And buddy, ditto, right back at you, man. You and I decided 39 weeks ago, because I think we're show 39 right now. We decided that we're not the smartest two dudes in the shed. And that's why we bring our special guests. They're always a notch above us with intelligence and smart and engaging conversation. So Dr. Lexi Lain, as a specialist in integrative and functional medicine, she owns a practice called Summit Vitality in the Charlotte area, I think. Dr. Lexi in the Charlotte?
Oh, show it? I'm sorry.
No, you are in Charlotte.
Oh, yes. Davidson specifically.
Davidson, that's right. Yeah. And so, and she's been on lots of other radio shows, and she decided that she found the creme de la creme. And she said yes when I begged her to show up here. And, what Dr. Lexi does is she helps leaders and people who are struggling with fatigue. Listen to these words and think are they relevant to you? Fatigue, brain fog, anxiety, overwhelming, loss of clear direction, and loss of understanding. Those are important things to look at, and these are the things that Dr. Lexi focuses on when she's helping people. So Dr. Lexi, introduce yourself a little bit more for the group, please.
Yes. So yes, I'm Dr. Lexi. I'm owner and naturopathic physician with Summit Vitality. Yes, I'm in Davidson, but of course with 2020, I am very virtual now too. And so through the 2020 journey in my world, I started to really fine tune and think about who I wanted to work with, and connecting with people like yourselves who are asking these bigger questions of what are my next steps, and to begin to think about, connecting people's hearts with their minds. But if we're not healthy within ourselves and in our bodies, sometimes our health inhibits us from moving forward. So what I do as a naturopath is, treating you as a whole person, taking in that life journey, in that piece, the mental health and the mindset, and braiding that into really helping you to have empowerment in taking back control of your health, as it literally means health and wellness physically and body. Yeah. And so that's what I do.
Cool. Real cool. And I appreciate you being here. Randy?
Yep. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat box today. So if you have questions or comments for Dr. Lexi, please put them in there, and if appropriate, we'll share those. Also, let us know where it is you're watching us from. And just as kind of a quick heads up, we're not going to dive into the whole COVID and vaccine situation. That's for a different day, a different topic. That's not for today. This is more focused on job hunting, and just thought I'd throw that out there. But yeah, we welcome your questions and comments, so please feel free, put them in the chat box. So Teddy, back to you. Let's get it started.
Yeah, and hey, look, we got 40,000 people showed up today. We want to know where you are. So hit the chat box and tell us what city and state or country you're in. Right now, Randy, if I see it right, Rochester, New York, Staten Island, You know, oh my God, Hickory, North by God, Carolina, and boom,
Boom.
yeah, you know, Round
Hey, is
Rock,
it snowing in
Texas.
Boone?
Hey, Round Rock, Texas. I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So yeah,
Woohoo, Denver.
yeah. Look, you can't stay here unless you tell us where you're from. I'm gonna kick you out. I'm just joking. So yeah, and Randy, you got a question you love to ask our special guest before we start.
Yeah, and let me throw that out there, and that's the why question. I think it's something that all job hunters ultimately need to confront. But I always ask our guests. I mean, you're an expert in your field, and that didn't happen by chance. There was a why moment. There might have been some why circumstances. What was the why, Dr. Lexi, to kind of get you focused and kind of create that passion for what you do?
Yes, the number one why is that when I went off to college, I got sick. And I was one of those individuals where I went to doctor to doctor to doctor. Tests are all coming back negative. I'm prescribed antibiotics left, right, and center, and still not getting well, getting sicker and sicker. And what ended up happening is I had a really bad adverse drug reaction. It's called Stevens-Johnson syndrome. And it can be lethal. And so it was a very scary moment for myself. And I actually thank my mother for this, but she basically said, no, we're not going to admit her into the hospital because that's pretty much where we were at in my health. And then we found, I would call him an angel because I don't remember his name. He was an old man, came from Germany, did some really amazing, incredible things. But I said, whatever that is, that's what I want to do because I was better in 2 weeks. And, you know, and again, there was this post-viral fatigue thing that I had to deal with, but it ended up being mono. There's a small percentage of people who test negative for that. But the point is that that journey is what led me into this field of medicine because it opened my eyes to there's more to medicine and healing than what meets the eye or what we're presented with. So I set sail to Seattle and got a doctorate in the field of naturopathic medicine. And then we're going to fast forward now into, you know, why do I reach out now to motivated leaders within their self and leaders in the community and people who are in transition? And it's because, you know, you're when we're thinking about health and wellness, there's a ball that gets dropped in the medical field in regards to people wanting to prevent something or they want to be better than they are today, and that has ignited a different kind of passion within my field of really helping people with their mindset and the mental health piece, anxiety, depression. I had saw really quick in the comment box of the ICANS, and you got to work on this as much as you have to work on the physical realm. So in our training, it was mental, physical, and emotional. And I really strongly believe that all three of those things you have to hit on equally. And so, yeah, it's an incredible field to be a part of, and I love it.
Real cool, real cool.
Great.
You know, there's a lot of things that we need to do in this whole world of job search and career development. And, you know, I mean, literally the book would probably be 600 pages long. Someone wrote the entire book of all the things you need to do and how you need to do it. And so there's only so many hours in a day. And often we get wore out in the journey and we don't really pay attention to our health. And I'll offer to you in my world I've been in business for 10 years. And for 9 of those 10 years, for the most part, I've been sitting on my butt. Mm-hmm. 2020, I said, and specifically 2021, I've got to do a little bit more to take care of my health. So now I have a standing desk. That's a little teeny step. Why is it, you know, from your perspective, Dr. Lexi, why is our health so important, even more so when we're in this process and we're trying to get into an interview? Why should we be more focused on our health during these challenging times?
Okay. First thing I want to give you is put yourself in the hirees. Okay. So it's the human resources department, whoever's going to interview you. And person number 1 walks in and they are very overweight. They're breathing very heavily. You can clearly say they didn't sleep very well, or you can see the shadows under their eyes. Maybe their hair doesn't look very healthy. Maybe it's greasy. They forgot to shower. Now, I know all of you listeners I'm not painting this picture for you. You're washing your hair looking well groomed. But you can see externally how well or not well someone is and how well they're taking care of themselves. And so if person A walks through the door, and let's just say they're younger, because I know one of the obstacles is, oh, well, I'm a certain age, and so I'm battling up against that. But the younger individual who isn't taking care of themselves, and then they're brain fogged. And so as they're answering questions, how quick are they to think about something and to recall information? Are they having a hard time with memory recall? And then you have person B, who might be 20 years older, but person B likes to hike mountains. Maybe they're vegetarian. Maybe they eat a whole foods diet and they meditate and they have a really positive mindset, and you can see that radiating out from them. Sure, they're 20 years older, but who do you think you're going to gravitate towards and want to hire? The one that's not taking care of themselves, and you're thinking, man, memory recall, they're fatigued already. I can feel their energy, because there's energy drainers. You know who those people are. You hung out with them for Christmas. Well, maybe you didn't, but we all have energy drainers, and we can feel that and we can see that. And you want to be the person that's radiating health. I'm taking care of myself, because a healthy body means a healthy mind. And a healthy mind means a mind that can recall all that fabulous information that you've acquired through your years of experience. And you're being able to quickly answer questions and clearly articulate. And then you're radiating a set of positiveness. Yes. So when you start feeling better in your health, you're going to start feeling more confident. And I'm going to want to hire that person. So that's why you need to be thinking about that in regards to your interviews.
Yeah, it shows. I'm with you. It absolutely shows. I used to do interviewing. Randy's done his fair share of interviewing people. And I remember seeing those examples of that person that, like, oh my God, did somebody drag him through the woods before he got here? And, and lots of folks, I get it. I mean, there's lots of things going on that distract us from what's important. But we only have one of these things called our body. Mm-hmm. There's not one, Randy, there's not one sitting on the shelf for you to bring it out when you wore this one out,
So, got that right.
Yeah. So not only do you need to take care of it so you have the energy, have the mindset, have the desire to do what you need to do, but it absolutely shows. That's a powerful perspective. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Dr. Lexi, there's lots of different ways for me to get the help I need to take care of myself. I mean, I've got a whole slew of doctors that I know that are, psychologists, psychiatrists, and shrinks, and that's the wrong list. But I also have my my neurosurgeons. I have my orthopedic guy. I have my acupuncture guy. I have my what's the other one? They put you in a trance, Randy. What's that called? My hypnotist. And I'm saying that there's lots of different medical.
Palm reader.
Oh, do you know her too, Randy? Do you know her?
Yeah, the one on Stratford Road. There's the how with the sign, right?
She was the one that told me to buy pork barrels. Anyway. Sorry, Dr. Lexi.
I'm like, are we being serious here? Is this a real thing?
I'm gonna bring it back to reality. There's lots of different medical practices out there. Mm-hmm. I've got what we refer to as what's the word? Our typical, American health practices. Novant, Moses Cone, Wake Forest, but we also have other service providers such as yourself. Draw us a little bit of picture about how these align. That's probably the way to think about it. How do these different medical service providers align?
Yeah, actually, that's a really great perspective to say alignment.
Yeah.
We use the term integration, but it's really important to know that it's not an all or nothing. And that's I hope you hear that it's not all or nothing. And also, what works for you may not work for somebody else. It's like a Cinderella shoe. You have to find what's going to fit your foot. That's the same with diets, by the way. And so the integration, or how we work well together. So I'll tell you, so I have patients all along the Eastern Corridor in different states. And so one of the things that they do is they see me as more of a specialist. So if they're looking for a more holistic approach, and someone who's going to understand the pharmacy, who's going to understand and be willing to work with their primary care providers and say, all right, these are the labs that I want you to add on to your annual labs. You're going to go get those and then we'll talk about them. But maybe there's some missing pieces, because in lab work, there's things that we do in our field that's outside of standard of care. And those more functional, diving in deeper type of tests, it gets complicated. I'm not going to explain it, but but when we're talking about fatigue and hormones, there's a different way that we can look at it. And so the integration is to work alongside your specialist versus, oh, it's them versus us.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm about at all. And that doesn't serve the patient either. We're all in it to help you to be well and to be better. Now, in certain models, the patchwork, or okay, we're going to give you a medication for that. For some people that works, and they want that ease, and great, there's no judgment. But if you're someone who's thinking, well, are there other things that I can be doing before that medication? Or are there other things I can be doing to slow down a disease process? We don't want you to progress and get worse. We want you to get better or slow it down. So that's where I start to come in and pick up those missing pieces, but then also widen that lens, because guess what? The stress of you guys looking for jobs, how is that impacting your health? Yeah. You're probably not sleeping well because your minds are super busy. And instead of medicating you for that, let's talk about it. Let's find some ownership in that and go over those humps. And so if that's something that you're looking for, then I would be a great fit. But if you want that palm reader, go and try it. But the one question I'm going to leave you with is, what is working for you and what isn't? And if it's not working, then change it.
I remember back in probably 2000, 2001, I had a really bad nerve problem in my arm. And I went to my primary care guy, sent me to a neurologist, and it blew me away when the neurologist said, I can do what I can help you, but I have something I want you to try. He sent me to an acupuncturist.
And that's amazing.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. He asked me to go try this if I wanted to. And then B, it freaking worked. So I get it. And I like the word integration. How do these integrate, and how can we work together in different medical fields to care for the human? Yeah. Randy, any questions come up?
Yeah, I think we had one or two that I had asked to move into the chat box because I only monitor the chat box. But there are some ones, and here was one of them that, if I can kind of paraphrase, the gyms are closed or there's limited capacity at the gymnasiums. And for people who want to maintain their health in that way, are there other, alternatives, or what suggestions could you give to offset that closure and what? Yeah. What's that all about?
I love the excuses. Thank you so much for that question. Because I mean that in a very, very loving way. So I'm a triathlete, and I was a part of the Lake Norman YMCA, and I met this amazing community of people. I had my HIIT class that I went to every Wednesday or Tuesday, Thursday, and my yoga. Anyway, the point is I was at that YMCA. I had it integrated into my schedule. And that went away, right? And so in thinking outside the box, so number one is, if you need the accountability, there are so many virtual races happening. I did a virtual half Ironman this summer, and it's kind of fun because there's medals. So here's where you have to start changing your mindset, because even though the gym is closed, you can use the gravity of your body to do push-ups, sit-ups, wall sits, what you come up with it. Your phone and YouTube has so many awesome resources. But if you need that accountability, I highly recommend checking out some virtual races. You can even Google search. If you're not a runner or you're a cyclist or a swimmer, there's all sorts of things. But you can do virtual walks, and you can do virtual. I'm sure there's various obstacles and challenges. Now, if you're someone who's saying, well, but I really like the people, being outside is safer. That's number one. Number two is because of the fresh air, and then you can distance yourself and whatnot. But if you had a small, tiny group of people that you plugged into in the community of walking groups, you can actually do that, and then maybe have them start walking if you're concerned about it. And then you walk, you're walking kind of in the back, but you're getting that accountability of being outside and meeting up with people. So there are certainly ways that you can get around not being in a gym.
Yeah. Good stuff. Randy, did you see the quote that Amy dropped in the chat?
I did. Yeah. Should we share that?
Please. It's powerful.
Well, let me do this then.
You want to borrow my reader's
I
book?
can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Where's the screen here? Now it says the Dalai Lama was asked what surprised him most about humanity, and he says, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, and then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. So it just kind of goes around and around.
Yeah.
Love that.
Oh, Dalai Lama wrote a book for me. Do you know he wrote me a book?
Did he autograph it?
No, he didn't. It's called what's it called? The Book of Joy. True story. He wrote a book called the Dalai Lama, and Desmond Tutu wrote the Book of Joy. And if anybody's not read that, I strongly encourage you to read it. Those two dudes are smart. They're also fun. Randy, they're sort of like you and me. They're really, really smart. Oh, wait a minute, better than you and me. And they're also fun. So, and I'm with Greg. 30 minutes a day of walking, get up off your butt, Teddy, is a really important thing. Hey, Dr. Lexi, you talked a little bit about your story. How did you get into this field of medicine? Share a little bit more about yourself as an individual and why you care so much for humans.
Why I care so much for humans?
Well, you obviously do, or you wouldn't be in this business.
I do. I love humans. I love animals too. What a strange, I've never been asked it like that before, but more of my story. I was raised by a chiropractor. Dad's a bodybuilder, so I was in kind of this like health and wellness industry. My aunt's a dentist. And anyway, so I was surrounded by it as a child growing up. And so I knew that I liked nutrition, and I knew that working with people, it was actually a non-issue. Like that was it. I was going to work with people. I didn't know how or what, and it was going to be in the health industry. And as I said before, that getting sick really helped to fine tune the field. But I'm not even sure how to even answer why I love working with people so much. But what really excites me is when someone says, I want to be better. I'm really overwhelmed and I don't feel like myself. And I want to do what it takes to be and feel like myself again. And that kind of attitude is exactly what I like working with, because I'm able to give a tool that they're not getting anywhere else. Balls are being dropped for people, and these annual visits, they're missing so much. And I think that as far as me as a clinician in my field of medicine, we have so much to offer people in empowering their health and wellness. And that's where I'm just so passionate about that. And to integrate it into my story, really, 2020 was hard as a small business owner. I'm in a field that's out of pocket. So people are, holding on to their resources in a time of uncertainty. But do you know what I did? I stepped up with myself with all the resources and tools that I educate patients with, which is you have to take care of yourself in times where you're feeling like you're falling apart, because that's what you have. When all else is taken away, you've got the people who love you, and you have your health and your body. And, and so I exercised, I ate really well. I meditated. I surrounded myself by my own coaches to help with the mental emotional perspective. But I dove so deep into my field of medicine and showing up for me. And I finished 2020 stronger and better and more resilient mentally, emotionally, physically, and in business.
Yeah.
So, it's an incredible field, and I just love it.
Yeah. Randy, you got one? Dr. Lexi, that's good. Thank you. That's really good to hear. Buddy?
Yeah, Cassandra, she had mentioned, how do you find the motivation and energy to work out or be active when you're sapped of all that energy and time due to job hunting? It can be a full-time job, and it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we kind of compartmentalize it? What are some tips you could give somebody? Because I know she's not the only one who is experiencing that challenge.
Okay, so I heard two things: time and lack of energy. So let's talk about time first, because you only have a finite amount of time in your day. So how is it that a CEO of massive companies can find time in their day to show up for themselves, to exercise and to meditate? You have to put it as a priority.
Yeah.
You have to schedule and build in the time. I am a small business owner by myself, by the way, managing my patients, running the business, admin, finance, etc. But you know what? What was happening to me in 2018 is I was becoming one of my patients because I was sitting so much, and in my health, I was starting to notice, man, it's declining. So what I ended up doing is I joined the Y because it was only 5 minutes away, and I made a decision. I do not want to do this. I want to move, because we are designed to move. So you have to schedule it in and find the time. You can find the time. And in terms of sacrifice, what are you willing to sacrifice? Maybe a little less TV, but make it a meeting. Show up. It's the same as an interview, because I'm going to tell you, the moment I started to show up for myself and exercise down at the Y, that changed everything. Absolutely everything. My attitude, stress management, how I was dealing with problems in my personal life as well as professional, everything. And I just am better for it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two was the fatigue. Now, fatigue is complex because that's a common complaint that comes into a medical practice, and there can be contributing factors to your fatigue that may not be simple to fix. So we have to iron that out as a clinician. But for you, the more stagnant you are, the more fatigued you're going to be. So my suggestion is that, in building energy up, there's some quick little exercises that you can do. Whoever you are, if you wanted, maybe actually Teddy and Randy, I have this quick little video. It takes 5 minutes. It's a really great thing, like to get up from your desk. If I were to share that pre-recorded video, could you somehow put that on your Facebook or resource?
Yeah, you send it to me and I will make it available to the thousands of viewers, and that's not an exaggeration, to the thousands of viewers that we get each week to these great conversations. Yeah, Dr. Lexi,
it's only 5 minutes, and you just stand up. It doesn't require any equipment, but what it's doing is it's getting your circulation moving. And that's a really great first step, or maybe doing some jumping jacks. If you can't do jumping jacks, this particular exercise is for anyone and wherever they are. But make it a priority, start small, but get moving. And fatigue, if it really is something, because nutrition, it's a complex answer, but you really are what you eat. So your food is your fuel. So think about that. Hydration, we're so dehydrated, and that can contribute to fatigue and brain fog. So little tweaks, hydration, check in with sugar. Sugar makes your energy tank. And then moving, those three things there. How can you improve?
Dr. Lexi, years ago, I used to show up in Greensboro every Thursday for a job search group that I volunteered in. And there's a guy that was there, and his name just escaped me. Really good guy. And he was probably just about 5 years younger than I am. And he said he does 50 push-ups a day. I'm like, damn. And so he sort of threw me a challenge. I said, I've never really tried it, man. So I went home that night, and this is priority and start small. Priority, I said, I want to start doing a little bit of workout every day. And so I did my first push-up in 20 years. I did it. I think it was ugly, but I did it. The next day I did the same push-up and it wasn't quite as ugly, but I did it. Fast forward, after 6 or 7 months, I was doing 25 push-ups and they weren't ugly. They were pretty decent. Randy, I was, remember that guy, the old man that, his name would come to me. Huh?
Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, man. I was like, Jack, I was pumped up.
All he needs is a chair.
Yeah.
I got a chair.
Yeah. But my point is this, a little bit every day, a little bit, 1% growth in your workout, 1% growth in paying attention to yourself, 1% growth in eating a little bit better, 1% growth of give yourself some more time to take care of your body. I got to the point where, and even today, I can do 25 push-ups. They're back to being ugly, but I can do 25 push-ups.
And Teddy, tell me, how long is it taking you to do 25 push-ups?
Oh, it takes me 5 minutes to do 25 push-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 5 minute. We can find 5 minutes of time to do almost anything.
Hey, it's 12:30. You're a guest of the lunch conversations with Randy and Teddy, and our special guest today is Dr. Lexi Lain. The conversations about your body, your health, your wellness, and job search, career search. If you know anybody who can benefit from these types of conversations, please share this Zoom link, share the YouTube channel, share the LinkedIn or Facebook, and invite others to join us, because our goal is to bring new ideas and help people in their career search and their job search. So, Dr. Lexi, thanks a lot for being here again.
Absolutely.
Dr. Lexi, we talked a while ago about Spark. You have a program called Spark. Could you share big picture what that is and how it would be relevant to job seekers?
Sure. So I designed a 10-day Ignite Your Spark that can be done anywhere, anytime, and it's kind of a build your own, like a Build-A-Bear. And it's a little launch into basically sparking and igniting energy within yourself. And so yes, you do pick a cleanse or a detox from a nutrition perspective, but you get to decide how complicated that is. And then what I do is I trail you through basically at the end of that is you're also adding in some sort of personal development into that, whether that's a motivational morning exercise. But anyway, so we're taking away some things, but we're also adding things in. And the Spark is part of the personal development piece. And that piece is cutting some strings, some negativity, things that are bringing you down, putting into place practices and surrounding yourself by people that you want to be like. A is taking action in your attitude. R is tapping into resources. And then the K is knowledge, knowing where you are today, knowing where you're going to go, but also going forth with kindness. And so we take that acronym and start applying that.
Tell me again what S is.
S is cutting the strings.
Strings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And strings, that can be people holding you down or holding you back, but that it can also be things that are not helping you and serving you to move forward. So. Yeah,
preconceived ideas.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nobody will ever hire me. I'm a 55-year-old project management guy, and nobody ever hire me. And, I hope that there's no one out there thinking that way, because if you are, you got to cut that string.
Cut it. Yes. That's not real. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about what is our body saying to us. As I'm standing here right now and my left leg hurts a little bit, and and I'm being real, it does, but it's okay. But I'm listening to it, and I'm trying to figure out how to overcome that. So we're stressing ourselves out, we're wearing ourselves out, we're not paying attention to our health or our meal or our food in this job search. How do we pay attention to what our body is saying to us, and what should we do?
So do you take the time to first stop and listen? And, that goes with any occupation. You're in a board meeting. How can you problem solve anything if you're not listening and listening to, what your body is saying to you? So that comes into stop and reflect and meditate. And, meditation is the listening to God versus us praying, talking to God. Well, we have to listen into, how do I feel? How does that food make me feel? How does, if you're going to walk into an interview and you're actually walking into a place and you're talking to that person, how does that environment feel to you? Does it feel like a place you want to work? So we can apply that to your job and as well as your health. And so if you can listen in and tap into that, then you can begin to have some information. And that information, you're either going to do something about it, do nothing, ignore it, which is what we tend to do. We like to wait till the engine light is on and the brake pedal's no longer working before we actually go and do something about it. Pain is a really good motivating factor. Yeah. But if you're anxious and you're not sleeping and you're all bloated and constipated, and yep, I'm talking about poop on a show. It's what I do. That's my trademark. And why is that? It's because our guts, we don't talk about it, but I can't tell you how many executives or leaders I hear that their GI habits, we don't talk about it, but how much it controls their life. And they actually will schedule their routines around what their gut is doing. That's no way to live. Okay, so we got to talk about that. So what is your body telling you? And then from that information, then we can pick maybe one or two things to start with. And but you got to take the time to reflect and listen. So for you guys, if you're listening and you're like, you know what, I'm not drinking any water, that's where I want to start. Or I'm not finding time to move because the gyms are closed, or I don't have time because I'm looking for jobs. Start making time if that's important to you, because it may not be important to you.
So I listened to my leg. And I went out and bought myself a foam standing pad. And it's not just 3 inches of thick foam, which it is, by the way, really, really soft and cushiony, firm, but cushiony. But it also has, areas on it that I can walk around. You'll see me moving around. I'm standing on the little nobules and, poking, the bottom of my foot, and I'm staying back on the rest area. And if I just stand on a hardwood floor all day long, that makes my leg hurts. But I stand on this thing, and it's making my body better. So I listen to it and I do something. So yeah, Randy.
Yeah, I had another question. Jonathan posed this, and I've wondered this as well, and that deals with the myriad of supplements that are out there on the market, and they're, how vetted are they? How realistic are they in terms of what they can do to help you, or is it as much a placebo effect in some cases? Just wanted to throw that broad topic out there. And if you want to go deeper and talk about some specific types of vitamins that you feel are very effective, great. But just your overall thought on the whole supplement market out there, and good, bad, take this wherever you want to take it.
Yeah. Great. No, actually, Randy, thank you so much. I saw that question pop up and I said, yep, I want to definitely talk about that. So, there are some pillars to my programs and health. And one of them is supplementation. And supplementation is intended to do one of a few things. One, it's there to replenish a deficiency. It's there to correct an actual problem, or it's there to support or nurture an organ system. Okay, so I saw in there supplements for anxiety, sleep, depression, etc. When I work with brain health, if your brain is on fire, your gut is also on fire. Okay, your gut, that's usually where we start. Serotonin and dopamine, 90% of that's made in your gut. Okay, serotonin and dopamine, these are two important neurotransmitters for happiness. Yay. Well, what builds serotonin and dopamine? If our gut flora isn't happy, then yeah, we need to start replenishing that. If your GI tract is all, inflamed and not happy, we need to use a supplementation regimen that is going to help to nurture, support, and repair. If you're walking around iron deficient, well, your brain needs those particular nutrients to function and to work. You have building blocks to build neurotransmitters. So what we do is we say, all right, we really need to support that serotonin pathway. Or you're sleeping, which is complex, but maybe there's something there too. We use supplementation to feed into these pathways. Not all supplements are created equal. There are some really top-notch companies out there, and the research behind them is sound and legit. And so if you're supplementing correctly and properly, they can be extremely beneficial. But if you're going to go to Target and you're going to go and cut corners and start just buying the cheapest thing off the shelf, there are some things that you can cut corners with, but not everything. And my biggest advice to you is, if you're going to look at a supplement, take a look at the other ingredients. Oh, I got this vitamin C chew. It's my favorite. Vitamin C chew from X and X, whatever. And we look at it, and it's got red lake, yellow 40, red 40, all of these lovely food additives, and there's soy in there, and they're telling me, oh, well, I avoid soy. Well, your supplement's got soy in it. So start looking at your other ingredients on the back of your supplement list. Yeah. And, you know, and that can be a nice, quick and easy first step. But then also, when you start diving into herbs, you really don't want to just go to any company. You really want to know the source of your herbs. And so that's where, as a clinician, I really help you to navigate that, because again, what's working for you and what isn't. And if you're taking a supplement for something and it's not helping you, AKA sleep, oh, I've been taking this melatonin and I'm still not sleeping. Maybe melatonin is not the problem. Maybe the problem is something else. Yeah. And that's my job, is to help find that.
On a side note, Dr. Lexi, I know where my herbs come from.
I'm curious on where are your herbs coming from? Your backyard?
No, I'm not going to tell you that's where my plants are. It would be crazy for me to tell you that. Okay. Enough of the jokes. So I do.
You know, that I'm not the sharpest guy going here, but I kind of read between the lines. So let me throw it out. And if you don't want to tackle this at all, what about CBD oil and or the CDB or whatever? Get off my lawn. I'm old. I don't know what the initials are, but the whole medicinal marijuana and all that benefits. Is it, you know, where do you want to take that one?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to say, when you hear the word herb, I love where people's minds go. But there's a plethora of herbs. So stress management, ashwagandha, you probably can't spell that. That's okay. Go and Google it. But ashwagandha is a wonderful stress herb. So valerian root for your sleep, you know, chamomile tea. So we use herbs in a lot of different settings and ways. And they are incredibly beneficial when used correctly. So going to your CBD conversation, so you have cannabinoid receptors all over the body, and so it actually can be an extremely beneficial tool. And CBD is really, really great for that anxiety. Yes, when you start to get into that THC combo, that's what's really great for pain. This is on the record, so I have to, that's all I'm going to say. So but if you want to have other conversations about it, again, I'm a great resource. But yeah, it is a useful herb in our toolbox.
Yeah, so I think what I just heard you say is that this is a great conversation about ideas, but don't execute any of these ideas and you have a deliberate, individual, personal conversation about you, your health, with a medical practitioner who can help you guide there. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that is so fair to say, because there's so much out there. And there's a moment in, like, diet, for example. Which diet should you choose? Well, guess what? You're an individual. And like I said before, diets and supplementation, they're like Cinderella shoes, where it's going to work for one person, it might not work for you. And is it a quality assurance issue of the supplement? Maybe there's a formula of a synergy of the herbs that you're missing. And so there's complexities there that we're not going to hit on, but that's why you hire and bring on a specialist who knows what they're doing to help you navigate.
Cool. Good stuff. Randy?
Yeah, and the older I get, and I've said this numerous times and more frequently as I do get older, but the older I get, the more I find I don't know. And whether it's with technology or whether it's with health or just business and in general, just day-to-day life. So this is very insightful, and it's eye-opening, because people, well, Teddy's age and mine, you know, we grew up with, you go to the doctor and they say, what does it hurt? And then they give you a pill, a prescription, and they send you on your way. And, you know, you build up that, if you will, trust in the medical profession that they know what's good for you. And I think over time, Teddy, with the acupuncture and some other things, that it's not a one size fits all. And before you launch and try to patient heal thyself, I think it is a good idea, certainly, to get some input from someone like you, Dr. Lexi, or someone else that may have some additional or maybe alternative thoughts as to how to tackle this thing. One last question I want to throw out here, and I know then we're going to kind of move into some sort of time period here, but how do you start a meditation practice if you've never done it? How do you start with that?
Is that a question by a man named Joseph Miller?
Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy. You've always got to have a heckler, don't you?
Yes, yes. So if that is who I think it is, yes, I did do a 10-day meditation this last year, and it was a silent meditation. So the question is if you've never done it before, don't get scared by it. When I first started, I could only last for like a minute, and I forced myself 5 minutes. So go to YouTube, download a 5-minute meditation guided. That's it, 5 minutes. That's all. And my best advice is that when you wake up in the morning, I know most of you are waking up before your alarm clock goes off. If that is you, then what I suggest is don't get up out of bed. Go to your phone, put on the YouTube 5-minute, maybe even a 15-minute guided meditation, and just start practicing. You might fall asleep. That's okay. Just lay there and focus on your breath, listen to the guide, and then that's how you begin to start learning your meditation. So you're still laying in bed. You haven't even put your feet on the floor. That's how I started. And then the other thing I started to do was in my day, when I got to a point, okay, you're job searching. When you get to a point where you're like, I've had enough, I can't take another second of it, and you're trying to force yourself through the task, my advice would be to do the little 5-minute video I'm going to share with you guys. And then I actually have a yoga mat, and I'll put that and actually literally lay on the floor. That's my favorite position. And I will use my finger because our brains get easily distracted. I do either my finger going up and down, and I count to help me to control my breath. But guided meditation, start with 5 minutes. If you can't make it to 5, no judgment. It's like that first one push-up. You got to start somewhere and then build on that.
Yeah.
I hope that helps.
Yeah. I read a book called Breath, and I can't remember the author's name. It's but it really did. It was a really deep, heavy, huge book about how we breathe and how our breathing habits are killing us and or not making us healthy and making us unhealthy. And it really got me to thinking about this whole idea of mindfulness and meditation and calmness, and count your breath and try to take the minimum number of breaths you can take a minute, which sounds bizarre, but man, it was pretty cool. And again, it's all about energy and vitality and mental clarity and all these things. Dr. Lexi, this is real good. Could you package this up in a couple, 2 or 3 nuggets that you think are really worth us ending this conversation with?
Yes. First of all, if you guys are interested in talking with me, thank you so much for tuning in. I do offer a free 15-minute discovery call for the listeners who are here live with us today. Thank you so much for showing up. That's step 1, show up for yourself. Take a little moment of time asking yourself, what is it that I need right now? And do you A, like where you are in your health, or do you not? And if you want to do something different, you can either A, try and do it by yourself, or B, seek someone like myself. The free 15-minute, doesn't matter where you are in the world. We can Skype, we can Zoom, FaceTime, whatever works. And we can have a conversation and see if it's a good fit. Yeah. So don't not do anything, do something, but maybe pick top 3. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, really good point. Good stuff. Dr. Lexi, thanks a lot for showing up today. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Great conversation.
Randy, I got a story. Do you have a story?
I'm going to make one up. Dr. Lexi, thank you for coming by. I hope you'll hang around here for a few more minutes. We may get another comment that pops in here. So I've sort of got one. Yeah. And, this deals with that whole, at some point you say, okay, I need to maybe change what I've been doing and so forth. But I remember growing up as a kid, I was pretty athletic and, involved with all the sports and whatnot, just like a lot of kids. But as I got older, we had twins and married and work and everything else. And there was a day or at some point, and I realized the only exercise I was getting, and I was probably in my late 20s, was maybe 20 softball games a year. That was it. And I thought, well, gosh, I'm going to hit 30, which is old. And I need to
ancient.
I need to do at least 2 push-ups, right? So anyway, but point was, the very first time I tried to jog, I couldn't make it more than a quarter of a block. And I thought, what the heck? Here I used to do anything. I could run all day, do whatever. And so I guess part of this thing is to look at this as a journey. And I say life's a journey full of a lot of chapters. And Teddy made an excellent point. That one push-up led to 2 push-ups and led to 3. And to your point, Dr. Lexi, when you have the want to, the how to becomes a little easier. When you learn your why do I want it? It's in some cases because the doc said I'm going to die if I don't quit this or whatever. But if you do it proactively and you can begin to see incremental change, that, at least for me, that was what I wanted to see. And whether it was in now running a full block, I started taking up weight training. And of course, as I get older, I get lazier and this and that, and all, here's the litany of excuses. But point being that when you can see incremental progress, I think that fuels you to continue. And I'm going to draw a parallel to the job hunt. A lot of times we get focused on the end goal, which is I want to get a job. We don't know when that's going to happen. And if it's an all or nothing proposition, well, I didn't get a job today. Oh, well, but what if I see incremental progress each day? I have maybe, as Teddy uses the term, a conversation with people. I maybe have a phone interview. I apply for some work. I research a company. I spend time on LinkedIn. I'm making that incremental progress. So again, whether it's job hunting or whether it's my health, as I see that little bit of progress, that fuels me and it keeps me motivated. So again, Dr. Lexi, thank you, because I think what you have to share is important. And we don't know what we don't know, whether it's about job hunting or about our bodies. And when we can link up with somebody like you that can shed light on things, I think it's a benefit certainly for us. So Teddy, I'll throw it back to you. And remember, we've got a great special guest next week too.
I got that lined up. I got all my notes in front of me, dude. That's why I got this 65-inch wide TV thing in front of me here, all that stuff because, I'm a digital guy, but look, I also, I have backup stuff,
Hey, perfect. I love it, man.
Yeah.
We're good.
Hey, here's what you reminded me of, Dr. Lexi. I spent many years running around DC. That's called 495 that loops around the District of Columbia, and Baltimore, that's 695. I drove those 2 loops around Baltimore and DC for 15, 20 years. In my car was a 500 count bottle of Advil.
Oh, yes.
And I was wearing myself out, very similar to what Dalai Lama said. I was wearing myself out to make money. But while I was doing that, I was having to spend money to make myself healthy. I went to the hospital twice thinking I was dying of heart attacks. I mean, I was in pretty bad shape. And it was all stress. And both times the doctors told me, you're going to kill yourself if you don't start taking care of yourself. Now, I had 4 daughters, young kids. I was unhappy in lots of different ways. My family didn't really like me because I was not taking care of myself. So it was, I can't remember exactly when it was. It's probably 1995, 96, where I said, I've got to start taking care of myself. Now, I'm not going to pretend and tell you that I went on some fantastic meal regimen and became a, vegan and stopped eating all the nasty chips and potato chips and stopped drinking beer and all that stuff, because I won't stop drinking beer. But I did start paying attention. And I won't pretend to tell you that I became a triathlete and, a 5K or some phenomenal athlete. I didn't, but I started taking care of myself. I started doing I got up off my butt a little bit more often. I started walking a little bit more often. My point of sharing this with you is you don't need to be like Teddy. You need to take care of yourself. Find the right things that you need to do. Find the right health habits, meal habits, routine exercise habits, and do something to take care of yourself. Because I can promise you from personal experience that my 4 daughters eventually started liking me again, maybe loving me. My wife began tolerating me more, maybe loving me, and I got happier, which is huge part of life. So that's what you made me think of, and I appreciate it. Randy,
Thank you so much for sharing. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I can remember sitting in the hospital bed, laying in the hospital bed, and waking up, because somebody's in my room, and my newest son-in-law was in the room. And I didn't expect to see him. And I said, dude, what are you doing here? It's like 2:00 in the morning, which that was back in the days when they'd let people into your room. And I don't know why they let this guy in, because he didn't look anything like me. His name is Mr. Alonzo. And they let him in my hotel room at 2:00 in the morning, which is a joke that we have at home. How did you get in, man? But he said, dude, I was scared to death you were dying. And that was telling right there. Yeah. So, Randy, any other questions pop up? Anybody?
No, just really just thanking, thanking Dr. Lexi for the input. Again, we don't know what we don't know. And so this show allows us, Teddy and me, that is, to ask questions that we're curious about, but so are you. And we have guests every week. I know we've got a great guest next week.
Next week, another really good friend of mine, a local guy out of the Triad area of North Carolina. His name is Rich Schlentz. Rich is another phenomenal speaker. This guy is really good, got a great conversations. The conversation he's bringing to us is thanks for the push.
Yeah, thanks for the push. And I can't tell you how many times I have conversation, Teddy, I'm sure you're the same way too, with job seekers, that their first thought is, oh my goodness, my identity is gone. I've lost my job. There's anger, there's depression, there's a sense of loss, a sense of death, all of that stuff that goes on. But I can't tell you how many times I also hear, but it ended up being one of the best things that ever happened to me, because it forced me to reassess where I was. And I use the term comfortable rut. And I think a lot of us fall, whether it's in our health or in our job or in relationships, we fall into a comfortable rut. And the next thing you know, 30 years go by. Yeah. So thanks for the push is, hey, this was traumatic when I lost my job, but how can I work through to make that trauma into something that is positive? So again, looking back, hey, it kind of sucked at the time, but I'm kind of glad it happened. And so Rich has a program that he talks about that in great detail. We look forward to you joining the conversation, and remember to jump in with questions for Rich Schlentz next week on Wednesday, the 13th.
That'll be the 13th.
Wednesday the 13th.
Yeah. And if you know anybody else you think would get value out of these conversations about these ideas, please invite your friends, share this with others, because, our goal, Randy's and my goal, is to reach as many people as we can, bring in absolutely fantastic special guests like Dr. Lexi and Rich and others. We've got a really full slate built out through March of 2021 already. And I promise you will be exciting, entertaining, and interesting. Dr. Lexi, good to see you.
Thank
My
you.
buddy, Randy. See you another day, buddy.
Have a great day. Thanks again. Take care.
Bye.